Nobody expected a random preseason game to turn into a full-blown spectacle. But that's exactly what happened when Shadur Sanders stepped onto an NFL field for the very first time. The kid, a fifth-round pick that most teams overlooked, showed up in primetime and turned a boring Friday night into must-see TV. More than 2 million people tuned in, which is insane for preseason football. But it wasn't just about the numbers, it was about the impact. Sanders didn't take the field just to not embarrass himself. He showed up ready to lead, to take over, and to prove the narrative around him needed to change. This wasn't just a debut. It was a reality check for the entire league. The craziest part is that Shedeur wasn't even supposed to be out there that night. He started training camp buried on the depth chart, basically the fourth-string guy getting scraps for practice reps, treated like an afterthought. But football has a way of flipping the script. Kenny Pickett goes down, Dylan Gabriel gets banged up, and suddenly the kid no one thought was ready is thrown into the fire against Carolina's starting defense. That's the kind of situation that usually eats rookies alive. Pressure, a packed stadium, zero expectations. But instead of folding, Sanders took a breath, read the defense, and ran the huddle like it was his team all along. He didn't just survive. He took control. The stat line alone was enough to raise eyebrows. 14 completions on 23 attempts, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 106.8 passer rating. If a veteran put up those numbers in August, it'd already be a solid headline. But for a fifth-round rookie to do it against starters? That's different. Still, the stats only tell half the story. What really stood out was his composure. Shedeur didn't look rattled, didn't bail from the pocket too early, didn't force dumb throws. He went through his reads, stayed in rhythm, and dropped the ball into tight windows when it mattered. That kind of poise isn't normal for a rookie. That's the behavior of a guy who knows he belongs. His first touchdown was basically a masterclass in handling pressure. Play action, solid protection, and instead of panicking, he waited for the exact right moment. When the defense gave him even the smallest opening, Sanders dropped a dime like he placed it there by hand. Fans watching couldn't believe this was a rookie. That's the kind of throw young QBs usually botch, either forcing a pick or sailing it way off target. But Shedeur showed confidence, like the game wasn't moving too fast for him. That moment proved it wasn't luck. It was talent mixed with years of experience from his college reps, all coming together under the NFL lights. And it wasn't just the accuracy that stood out. It was the way he ran the offense, like he was already QB1 on the depth chart. He stepped into the huddle, called the play, and the guys looked at him with respect. There wasn't that awkward vibe of, let's see if the rookie can handle this. There was trust. And that's rare, because most rookies show nerves, talking low, stumbling over words, second-guessing themselves. Shedeur looked like he was built for that role. He checked at the line, adjusted routes, read the defense with confidence. That's not something you learn in a couple weeks. That's leadership, plain and simple. And let's be real, it wasn't just Browns fans going crazy over this debut. The broadcast shattered preseason records, pulling in over 2.2 million viewers. For context, NFL Network preseason games usually sit below 2 million, and this one ended up as the #1 program on TV that Friday night. Think about that. People skipped Netflix binges and summer hangouts just to watch a fifth-round rookie play football in August. That doesn't happen unless there's real buzz. Sure, the Sanders name carries weight, but what he showed on the field proved he's not just riding his dad's legacy. He's carving out his own. And the impact wasn't just on the field. The second it was announced Shedeur would start, ticket prices skyrocketed from $12 to over $150. The stadium filled up fast, and it wasn't just Browns diehards. You had fans from Colorado rocking his old college jersey, people from Jackson State days, even casuals who normally don't care about Cleveland but didn't want to miss the moment. On top of that, jersey sales went wild, thanks to his contract giving him a cut of merchandise with his name and number. That's the kind of movement you only see when a player crosses into cultural phenomenon territory. And in one night, Sanders proved he's already there. Social media absolutely lit up after his debut. Celebrities, former players, even NBA stars jumped into the conversation. LeBron James tweeted about him, calling Sanders a young king and telling him to stay focused. Des Bryant, Reggie Bush, they all chimed in, hyping him up and demanding to see more. When a rookie QB gets that kind of attention after one preseason game, you know it's something bigger than football. He was trending everywhere, sports talk shows couldn't stop talking about him, and even people who normally skip preseason highlights were pulling up clips just to see what the fuss was about. This wasn't just a debut, it was a cultural moment. But maybe the most impressive thing came after the game. While everyone else was celebrating, Shedeur sat down at the podium and said he didn't feel sharp, that he could have played better. That's not some fake humble routine, that's the mindset of a competitor who knows the work isn't done. Think about it. The kid just threw 2 touchdowns, broke viewership records, earned respect across the league, and he still walked out saying he needed to clean up his footwork and speed up his reads. That kind of self-critique is what separates guys who flash for a season from guys who build long careers. He wasn't blinded by the hype, he was already locked on the grind. Even NFL executives couldn't stay quiet after that performance. One AFC North exec texted a reporter saying he was shocked at how good Sanders looked. And that's coming from guys who make their living scouting talent, the same guys who let him slide all the way to the 5th round. Now, they're sitting there wondering how they missed it. Shedeur's debut didn't just boost his stock, it exposed flaws in the league's evaluation process. If he keeps playing at this level, people are going to look back and call him one of the biggest draft steals of the decade. Inside the Browns' locker room, the conversation shifted overnight. Before, Shedeur was viewed as a project, maybe a practice squad guy, maybe someone to develop slowly. After that game, cutting him was no longer even an option. Now the talk is whether he should get real snaps, maybe even push for a starting role if the vets can't stay healthy. And the energy in the room reflected that. Teammates who usually expect rookies to stumble started treating him like a leader. In one night, he went from, "let's see if he sticks around," to, "this dude might be part of the future." That kind of respect doesn't come easy, and he earned it fast. And when you really think about it, his debut was bigger than just football. It was almost like a statement to everyone who doubted him. During the draft, analysts and commentators blasted the fact that Shedeur kept falling, with some even calling it a disgrace that he wasn't a first-round pick. Every completed pass against the Panthers felt like him silently telling the league, "You messed up." No trash talk, no tweets. Just execution. The game was proof that sometimes the system flat-out fails at recognizing talent. And Sanders turned that disrespect into fuel, showing he's not just another rookie, he's a quarterback with something to prove. Another thing you can't overlook is the toughness he showed. Back in college, Shedeur was one of the most pressured quarterbacks in the country, taking hits week after week but still delivering strikes. That experience showed up against Carolina. There were plays where he took a shot, popped right back up, and celebrated with his receiver like nothing happened. That kind of resilience fires up the whole team. In the NFL, defenses look for any sign of weakness in a young QB, and if they smell blood, it's over. But Sanders gave them nothing. He stood tall in the pocket, stared down pressure, and delivered dimes. That's veteran behavior, not rookie jitters. The ripple effect was unreal. A meaningless preseason game suddenly felt like a primetime showdown. Usually, these games barely make a blip on the radar, but Shedeur's presence turned it into an event. The crowd's energy, the non-stop media buzz, even the betting markets went crazy. Within a week, Sanders became the most bet player to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Think about that. A 5th-round pick who was supposed to be a long-term project instantly flipped into one of the league's hottest storylines. That doesn't happen by accident. It only happens when a player has that special mix of charisma and talent that demands attention. At the end of the day, this wasn't just a rookie debut. It was the beginning of a story that could define the next chapter of the NFL. Shadur Sanders took a throwaway preseason game and turned it into a cultural moment, proving that talent and mentality can outshine doubt and disrespect. He didn't need flashy quotes or hype machines to back him up. He just stepped on the field and let his game speak. And if this was only the first glimpse, imagine what's coming next. Because when a rookie earns the respect of the entire league in one night, that's not luck, that's destiny.
I've been chasing these dreams.